Hey everyone, I am going to go over Cesim for the first practice round. So if you were not able to get into Cesim the first time, make sure you start your practice round this round. It'll be important. I did want to give you just a little heads up that some of the screens that I am showing you, especially my videos I discovered in my in-person class, that the screens look different. You have the more updated version. Mine is the old version. So I'll be looking to see if they can transition my screens when I go into yours to be and look a little bit different. Or if they can get me in as a player to be able to see it, but I really need to see yours. So I'll have to talk through that with them to see if I can get that changed. But in the meantime, I wanted to give you the results from the practice round. Again, this is a practice round. This is something that we're learning as we go. And I hope that this will help you take a look at kind of where you're at and how you're doing. We have a number of teams in each of the areas. I see one change their name to Orange Crush, so very cool. And I can see how you guys are doing by just taking a look at this. So if we look after the first round, there isn't a whole lot of differentiation. Team Red fell a little bit behind in profitability and revenue, so I'll take a look at that. But these are two of the areas that I'm going to be looking at, sales revenue and profit for each of the teams as you go. You guys are still really close and not a ton of differences here. Excuse me. You can see that research and design, the team red did 400,000 and green did 200,000 for research and design. So that is why team red is in the negative right now. They did do some other really good things, but they invested. And so when you invest, sometimes the first couple rounds you will have a negative profit. That is not unusual. So you can see why it happened and what made that difference. So research and design is something that you'll be able to see. The next thing I'm going to go in and look at is market reports for Universe 1 and market reports for Team Green, Red, Blue, Orange, Crush, Gray, Ochre, Pink, and Navy look pretty similar as well. Again, Team Red lost a little bit of market share, so we'll talk about that. Orange Crush gained a little bit, so that's a little bit more positive. I don't think that's why the column's bigger, by the way. I think that just is how it worked out. So if you look at your pricing right now for each of these areas, you can see that Team Red was a little bit higher, Ochre as well for US. So you may want to take a look at where other people are at and make sure that you're close to and in line with it. It doesn't determine everything because you can see in Asia, Team Red was lower than some folks. So price isn't the only consideration, but if you're a little bit higher in one area, that might indicate why sales were a little bit sluggish in that particular region. So that might be one thing to take a look at. The next thing is going into the tabs, US, Asia, and Europe. Mine are on the right, yours might be on the left. They move some things around. You can also see the number of features that each of the teams have. And you can also tell if people ran out of product, okay? So that would be something else that you'd be able to notice by going into each of these areas. So you can see how many units each team sold. And in the US, Team Red only sold 773. So you were a little bit lower in sales. So the price may have impacted that. And Ochre as well, 862. So that probably in this round impacted some of your sales, at least in that area. It should not have impacted Asia too much though, because you're a little bit less. So you can see that you actually made a little bit more Team Red for that, and Ochre very much in contention with everybody else. So prices here are staying pretty well. Orange Crush did come down to 1700. I'm going to take a look at that in a little bit though, and I'm going to talk through some things just to make sure that you're not lowering your price too much. So yes, you can have a lot of sales, but if I go back to that first screen on your financial statement, you can tell that even though you had more of the market, you sold quite a bit, your prices are low, so your sales revenue is not as high as indicated by your increase, and then your profit's not as high. So there's a balance between selling a little bit too low with your pricing and losing some of that profitability and that revenue. So don't be tempted to just drop your price. Make sure that your price is kind of in line with the whole group and you're just making slight variations with it. That's an important thing. And it's the first round, so that's not something that I would have expected to be any different. So now I'm going to look at production report and take a look at that. I like to look at the capacity utilization here. You can see Orange Crush almost maxed out on capacity, so that's an important thing to take a look at. If you start to lose some of that, that becomes an issue. Team Gray didn't sell any out of Asia or Pink or Navy, so you want to make sure that you do produce in Asia because you have a plant there. And then Red used a little bit of contract manufacturing, but really didn't need to this round. So I would definitely focus on in-house manufacturing. And you can see the teams that did not sell in Asia did not use their production for Asia. So make sure that you do that, okay? And then I'm just going to take a look at social responsibility. When you look at poor to excellent and where you guys are at, Team Pink and Team Red doing really well with social responsibility and how they chose their suppliers, and you can tell that they changed it up and picked some different suppliers that they thought would be a little bit better, which increased your sustainability numbers and also your social responsibility numbers. So there was an impact to that. Okay, I'm going to take a look at Universe 2 and just see how they are doing. And so these are the teams that were available for Universe 2 for round 1. And I added a couple more because there's a few people who haven't signed up yet. But taking a look at your sales revenue, Team Green really came out ahead in sales revenue here and also in profit. So did some research and design, but really balanced that. Used a little bit of contract manufacturing, which might have been a good thing based on your sales. And then also added a few features, but didn't go crazy with it. So these are your costs, and that is the difference between your costs and your revenue. So while Pink and Blue, as an example, and Red, even Orange, you guys are really close, but you can see there's a huge difference in profitability, and that's based on what you spent. So that will definitely play a key role in that as well. And then looking at market reports, 20%. So Green and Pink ventured into another technology. And we can see that Pink, the cost of your technology for the US is quite a bit higher than Team Green. So that would be something that I definitely bring down, as well as your Tech 1 cost at 500. That might have just been a typo. But I would look at Tech 2 here. And I would add, if you have the capability, Tech 2 in Europe too. So I'd make sure you sell to them. You might have run out, so that's probably why. If I look at the details here, you can see how much you sold in each of the areas. And so Pink, a little bit less in sales for the US, and I think it's the price that probably played into it, and really only a few in Tech 2 as well because of that price. If we look at Europe, this is where you can see that you ran out of products, so your sales were here, but your demand was here, so you did run out of Tech 2 here too, so Tech 1 and Tech 2 in Europe. So Team Pink, you might want to just take a look for Universe 2, take a look at how you're doing with your logistics. I knew I was thinking of something. I don't know. Took me a minute. Capacity utilization 100% for Orange, Green, and Pink, which means you ran out. So I would definitely look at your contract manufacturing and making sure that you utilize that so that you have enough capacity. So that would be something that I take a look at. Clearly 2 units and 4 units isn't enough. You need to make sure that you increase that a little bit if you're actually going to need to use it. So I'm going to go in and just take a look at the team area. And again, this is going to look just a little bit different. I think Pink I'll go through here first, just so you can kind of see some of the decisions. Okay, so I want to point out for Pink in Universe 2 that this is the unit cost, $92, okay, and $218. So you're selling it at $1,500 and promoting at $50 million. So this is thousands of dollars. So $50 million is a lot for promotion. You might want to start out with like 15 or 10. This would have cut into your expenses. And certainly it looks like your gross margin is wonderful, but you're not going to sell what you expected from a demand if your price is that high. So definitely adjust your prices. This is the unit cost. Make sure that you take a look at that. And then I'm going to go into Universe 1. Look at Orange Crush here. And in Orange Crush, I want you to see that your unit cost is $88 for the US, and it's $260 for a price here, which isn't horrible. This is just what I want you to see when you go to Asia, I think. Yes, this is the one that was, I think, an issue. So your unit cost is $1,100 and you're only selling it for $1,700. So there's a huge demand in Asia. Asia is one of your primary areas for selling, and your gross margin is only 174 here. And if I look at the US, where you're a little bit more reasonably priced, you have a higher gross margin and you have fewer sales. So you want to make sure that you really balance your pricing to be responsive to what the market is. Again, 72 and 125, this is quite low, and your gross margin isn't real high. So if I was to do this for practice round 2, I would probably look at raising this up a little bit higher. First of all, I'd increase this, which will change your unit price. But then now that my unit price is $71, I'd probably increase this to be about 150 is where I'd probably settle in as a price for this. Okay, in Asia as well, make sure to increase your features. And then this would probably be, I would look at that for tech. Okay, somewhere in that range. I'd go back to the results and make sure you're kind of in the ballpark, but this is going to help improve your gross margin a little bit. Even if you did 2,000 yen, still a really solid gross margin. So you want this to be a little bit better. This is where you're going to make all your money, so make sure that you do that appropriately. The other thing that I wanted to look at, I think in Universe 2, go back to pink, practice round 1. I want you to take a look at your logistics. You ran out in Europe, so make sure that your logistics is looking at US, Europe, Asia, and in that sequence. That will be better. Okay, I think that's it for the Cesim results. If you have any questions, please let me know.